Hey guys, it's Jensen. Let's talk about what I've been reading the last couple weeks. So real quickly, I wanted to apologize for not getting a video out last week. My sister-in-law was in town and I was spending time with her, and so I didn't have time to film and get a video up, so I apologize for that. But I still have been reading and I am back with a reading update. I read 3 books in the last couple weeks, so let's get into them. Real quickly though, before I get into those books, I just wanted to quickly mention that I am still reading Midnight Sun, and I'm also reading Twilight at the same time, and I'm going to do a separate video with my full thoughts on them. So that will come out in a couple weeks and you will know my full thoughts, but I'm not going to talk about them here. So let's get into those other books that I've been reading the last couple weeks. So first, I finished I Feel Bad About My Neck by Nora Ephron. Sorry, there's hair in my mouth. This one was really, really funny. It's basically a collection of essays written by the hilarious Nora Ephron, who is amazing. And it is a lot about sort of aging as a woman and dealing with different things as you get older. But I don't think that it's just for women who are of a certain age, who are, you know, middle-aged or past their prime or whatever. I think it's enjoyable for all women because there's stuff that we can all relate to in this book, and I was cracking up all of the time. Even though I haven't experienced a lot of the things that she talks about in this book, I still found her very relatable, even though some of the circumstances she's been in her life aren't very relatable. She talks as someone who has come from a certain amount of privilege, and so some of the problems that she has aren't very relatable, but strangely enough she still makes them very relatable and very funny, and there's a lot of heart to this book as well. So I really enjoyed it. It's a quick read. It's not even that long, so it's really quick to get through if you're looking for something short that you can breeze through. It's light, it's funny, but there's a lot of great insight and depth to it as well. So highly recommend. Really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I can't remember, but I really liked it. Then I finished The Mother-Daughter Book Club by Heather Vogel Frederick. This is a middle grade about a group of girls and their moms who start a book club, and they're reading Little Women. And it's just them reading Little Women throughout the school year. They're in 6th grade, I believe, and just realizing how Little Women can relate to the problems that they're going through in their own lives. And this book is so sweet. It's just so adorable. I loved every character, and the moms were great, and the struggles that they were going through were really, I mean, there's nothing, I mean, there's actually there's some huge stuff. There's feelings of loss and abandonment, and there's bullying going on, so dealing with that. There's a lot of things that these girls are going through, and they use the things that they learn from Little Women to help them through their individual struggles. And I don't think it gets too in-depth on anything. So it is more of a light, breezy read. It was for me. I read it pretty quickly. But it does have attempts at, you know, some depth because some characters are going through some really difficult issues. It is middle grade, so the prose is not great because it's written from the perspective of each girl, and it switches perspectives between each of the 4 girls. But I really liked it, and if you're looking for something that is just an easy, fun, adorable, just charming read, I highly recommend this. There's more in this series, and I'm really sad because someone checked them all out of my local library, so I had to put them on hold. So they'll come in a few weeks and I'll be able to continue reading them, but this one was just delightful, and I loved it so much. It was just the cutest thing, and I loved every character, and they're all pretty distinct, so you know whose perspective you're reading from at each point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention. I mean, it's great, and it's got a lot of historical background. It talks about Louisa May Alcott and her life as well, and gives some interesting facts in there. So there's stuff that you can learn as well. Yeah, if you, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it just for people who are around 6th grade. Anyone could read it. It's light, it's fun. Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it as an adult, and it's hard to find books aimed at a younger audience that are enjoyable to read as an adult, but this one was just absolutely delightful. So highly recommend. I think I'm going to give this, I haven't even thought about this, I think I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. So yeah. Finally, we have The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. Hallie Rubenhold, which is about the lives of the women killed by Jack the Ripper. It doesn't really go into how they were killed necessarily, just like briefly glances over it, but it doesn't really focus too much on Jack the Ripper or what he did to these women. It's more about their lives from their childhood homes to their later lives. And I will say, after reading the first story, I was sufficiently depressed, and I was like, well, hopefully someone in this book had a happy life. One of these women had a somewhat happy life. But then I thought about how if you were out that late at night at that time, your life wasn't happy. So I will say that it is pretty depressing what these women lived through and then how their lives ended. But it is really interesting, and it gives more perspective on the working class, in Victorian England, which I really didn't know anything about, because usually when you're reading about Victorian England, you're reading something like Jane Eyre or, you know, one of those classics, and you don't get a lot of, you know, and when you're reading like Victorian romances, it's usually the upper classes that you're reading about, so you don't get the day-to-day drudgery that was the working class in Victorian England, and their lives were pretty miserable. And I think it will affect the way I read books set during the Victorian era from now on, just knowing how difficult their lives were and how easy the upper classes had it. It's really sad. This book is really well researched and well written. It's just so thorough, and there's plenty of commentary on things that may be questionable or not fully known. The author really tries to tell the stories of these women as best as she possibly can and as factually as she possibly can. And she tries to be, you know, as truthful as she can. She doesn't really pass judgment on the characters for the choices that they made in their lives. She just kind of explains, this is what was going on in the time period. This is, you know, the way it was. So I really appreciated that. It just gave a lot of interesting perspective on these women's lives, and I'm glad that I got to read about them, and that they can be commemorated in this book, and that now they can live on and for future generations, and people can somewhat get to know them. So I recommend this if you are into true crime, and if you want to know more about the victims and their lives, and more about Victorian England and the lower classes and what their lives were like, or if you just really are interested in a nonfiction that's really well written and well researched and pretty easy to get through, yeah, highly recommend it. Really loved it. So these are the 3 books I read in the last couple weeks, and I am excited to continue reading Midnight Sun. I'm not quite sure what I'll be picking up next, but thank you so much for watching this video. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.